Good afternoon, everyone. We are the Group 3, and today we will be discussing about development and use of non-digital or conventional materials. So here are the contents of the reports. First, we have the instructional materials. Next, we have the several roles of IMS in teaching and learning. Third, we have the factors to consider in developing instructional materials. Then we have the different conventional instructional materials. Fifth, we have the guidelines when designing conventional instructional materials. And lastly, we have the application of instructional materials. So instructional materials. So what is instructional material? So these are supplementary materials which help the teacher to make his or her presentation concrete, effective, interesting, meaningful, and inspiring. It is actually concrete because it focuses more on the important parts of the information that is being passed to the students, and it is effective because it is more of a visual kind of approach. It is interesting, meaningful, and inspiring because it is a lot more fun to watch since there are a lot of designs around it. So next we have, it is actually defined also as print and non-print items that are rested to impact information to students in the educational process by F. Young and ED215. So this is according to them. So it can be printed and non-printed. If it is printed, you can actually print it from online, such as posters. And for non-print items, the teacher can create an instructional materials which are posters or diorama and many more. This will be discussed further by the other reporters, and this also refers to any pre-existing materials that are being incorporated, as well as to those that will be specifically developed for the objectives. So it has actually an objective which is to make learning more interesting and effective, and it is actually really effective for the students, this kind of instructional materials. This is according to Heigler 2014. And instructional materials are a great help in simulating and facilitating the learning of the learners. All audiovisual materials have positive contributions to the language learning as long as they are used at the right time in the right place. So instructional materials are more of a visual kind of approach, since these materials are made for the students to see, which are very interesting in their eyes and are very pleasing and fun to look at, so which helps stimulate and facilitate their learning more. That will be really helpful with their development and in instilling knowledge in them. So here are the several roles of IMS in teaching and learning. So IMS actually refers to instructional material. So first is they promote meaningful communication and effective learning. So there is actually a meaningful communication between the student and the teacher because the information are a lot more easier to understand, which makes it more effective for their learning. And this actually also helps to collaborate between students and students are able to engage more towards this kind of instructional materials. So second, they ensure better retention, thus making learning more permanent. So it becomes more easy to understand because it's more of a visual kind of approach. And third is they help to overcome the limited classroom by making the inaccessible accessible. It's actually more accessible this way because this kind of information or instructions can be posted around the classroom for the students to see, or so that they will be able to learn easily and read it again and again. Next is they provide a common experience upon which late learning can be developed. And like I have said, these are around the classroom that this can be posted around the classroom or displayed around the classroom for the students to watch or read again and again, which will be able to help the late learners develop easily, since this helps them to have longer or better retention, and this is more of an effective way of their learning. So lastly, they encourage participation, especially if students are allowed to manipulate materials they use. This is according to Brown et al. 2005, F. Young and Igiri 2015. So instructional materials is not just for the student. It's not just the teachers creating the materials for the students to watch and read. This is actually can also be made by the students. The teacher will ask the student to create this kind of thing or this kind of material, using this kind of material such as the diorama, or they can, or their artworks will be posted on the wall so that they will be able to see and become more encouraged and motivated to create more better outputs to be posted on the wall. And next will be the factors we'll consider in developing instructional materials, which will be reported or discussed by Anna Marie Odd.
So hi everyone, I am Anna Marie Oddo and I am going to talk about the factors considered in developing instructional materials. So every teacher needs instructional materials to enhance their teaching and learning. Instructional materials are essential since they help the teacher and the learners avoid overemphasis on recitation and rote learning, since they can easily dominate lessons. It also enables the teachers and the students to participate actively and effectively in lesson sessions. Resource materials allow learners to have practical experiences which help them to develop skills and concepts and to work in a variety of ways. Number 1, develop a storyboard or working outline based on the subject goals or objectives. Number 2, identify existing institutional resources including materials and teachers' capability. Number 3, the teachers may research off-the-shelf materials that have been developed by others to determine if their approach is useful. Number 4, explore the possibility of adapting concepts of other teachers without infringing on anyone's copy-protected design. Number 5, if the instructional materials are effective, you can share it to the other teachers. Number 6, modify existing materials based on the objectives of the lesson. Number 7, the teacher developer can also sell his or her materials available. So moving forward to the different conventional instructional materials. So let's have the diorama. So diorama are small scenes created of layers of materials, all depicting a similar concept or a theme. It can also be a display historical time period, a nature scene, or a fictional situation. So as you all know, dioramas are useful projects to evaluate student comprehension of a variety of topics. So by creating a three-dimensional representation of a topic, students will need to synthesize everything they know into a creative project. In developing diorama, the first one to do is to choose a topic or a theme. You can choose to portray a scene from a historical time, from a book, or example of an ecosystem, an animal or plant group, or something else entirely. Number 2, research the subject. Once you've chosen a theme, you'll need to do a research to make your diorama as lifelike as possible. Number 3, make a rough sketch on your ideal diorama. You have to look for an inspiration online such as Pinterest, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. You have to sketch out what you want what you want the diorama to look like, including the background and the foreground. Number 4, make a list of the items. Browse your local and craft store to find everything you need. Number 5, select a container or a box. A shoebox can do because you can turn it on its side, works incredibly well for creating a basic diorama. And that would be all for my topic. Thank you for listening.
So good day everyone, my name is Jennifer Saturday de la Torre and I'm here to talk about nature table, writing board, and flip chart. So let's start. Nature table. So nature table contains objects, sounds, or scenes related to the current season or upcoming festival or a symbol of ecosystem. So basically, nature table is set up by the teacher in a certain area of the classroom, and it contains a collection of nature items and exploration tools. So this includes any item that students might find on a nature walk, and it allows students to create a natural sensory experience for children at the classroom. So because playing with objects from nature provides excellent input for the healthy development of a child's sensory system. So next is whiteboard. So whiteboard is commonly used visual aid. A board is where you can display information written with chalk or special pens. Although there are usually more effective methods of transmitting information, the writing board is still the most commonly used visual aid. So the best example of writing board is the green board and whiteboard in the classroom. Writing board is a tool for things that the teacher wants the students to remember. So last but not the least is flip chart. So a flip chart is a collection of a large page which are bound together at the top. The page are flipped or brought up on the back as they are used. Flip charts are useful teaching aid. You can purchase, prepare, or you can make them. A flip chart is a stationary item consisting of pad or large paper sheet. It is typically fixed to the upper edge of the whiteboard, typically supported on a tripod or a four-legged easel. So in addition, flip chart is a very helpful to teachers to explain a topic, display important notice, and especially it allows learner to come and write on the sheet so that the students will become more engaged and focused and also be more creative.
Questions in using flip chart. First, use wide tip pens or markers. Markers with narrow tips produce printing that is difficult to read. Using wide tip pens or markers deliver more ink and therefore make thicker lines. You use them to write large, easily readable words for presentation. Make the letters big enough and leave enough space between the letters so that everyone, even those sitting further away from the whiteboard or flip chart, can read the text clearly. Second, print in block letters that are large enough to be read easily from the back of the room. Print it, don't write it. Make sure every word you print can be read by the person sitting in the back row of the room. Third, use different colored pens to provide contrast. This makes the pages visually attractive and easier to read. Choose dark, saturated colors to maximize visibility all the way to the back of the room. Stick to the high contrast colors like black, blue, red, or dark green. Stay away from yellow or anything pastel shaded. These are extremely difficult for the learners to see. Don't make your learners have to strain their eyes to see your points. If you are using more than one color, you should then use them consistently. You should use black as base color and use red or blue to emphasize key words or annotate the text. Fourth, use headings, boxes, cartoons, and borders to improve the appearance of the page. You can also use boxes or cartoons and borders to improve the appearance of the page. This will protect your flip charts and keep them fresh and ready to use each time. Fifth, use bullets to delineate items on the page. Using bullet points is a good way to create a balance between the visual and text elements in flip chart. The effective use of bullet points can help highlight important information, direct the readers to themed list, and improve a flip chart overall readability. 6. Leave plenty of white space and avoid putting too much information in one page. Don't use flip charts for lengthy sentences. Focus on single words or short phrases. This will keep the tempo quick and active, just what the flip chart should be. Flip charts don't need to be all words. Draw imagery that your learners can connect to your key points and help them to remember your content. 7. When pages are prepared in advance, use every other page. If every page is used, colors will show through and make text difficult to read. In making your flip chart, have a blank sheet of paper between each of your text sheets. This will prevent the written materials from other sheets to peek through. 8. Have masking tape available to put pages up around the room during brainstorming and problem-solving activities. It is very important to have your masking tape ready during some activities or brainstorming that you will give to the learners. You can use masking tape to stick the chart up on the walls. When you take the sheets off the wall, fold the tape over so that you do not tear the paper. Rather, stick the tape at the sheet, then over the corner, as this makes it easier to remove. 9. To hide a portion of the page, fold up the lower portion of the page and tape it. When ready to reveal the information, you can remove the tape and let the page drop. Number 10. Face the student, not the flip chart while talking. It is very essential to face your student for you to establish a connection with your students. It creates a bond between a teacher and a student. A connection that is beneficial to both parties. When you look someone in the eye, they are more likely to look at you, more likely to listen to you, and more likely to believe and listen in your message. Next is zigzag board. So what is zigzag board? Zigzag board is a multi-board series of 3 or 4 rectangular boards. They are joined together along the sides by hinges so that they can easily be folded up and carried. The size of the boards for zigzag multi-board depends on what you want to use for. So zigzag board can present more than one subject in one activity without removing or erasing the first activity. It is very useful for brainstorming, block diagram, timelines, and multiple topics to discuss in one period of time. Second, textbook. So what is textbook? Textbook is the material and the design of each lesson are carefully spelled out in detail. Textbook provide organized units of work. A textbook gives you all the plans and lessons you need to cover a topic in some detail. It serves as a guide to the prescribed curriculum and syllabus. They ensure that topics covered are similar across different schools and states. It transmits knowledge, skills, attitudes, and values to the teacher and students alike. It provides guidelines for teaching and learning. It also determines the component and method of learning. It controls the content, the method, and the procedure of learning. Students also learn what is presented in the textbook. In other words, the way the textbook present materials is the way the students learn it.
So we have the wall display. Displaying items in a classroom wall is well known, tried, and tested educational method. So yes, it's very true, no? So we all can see this inside in the four corners of the classroom. So we can see some motivational quotes, sayings. So this is also a teacher's way in passing information to the learners and also to encourage learners. So we must make sure that the visuals we put in must be informative and interesting to our learners. We also have poster. So this one is also good instructional materials until today. Did you know that a poster is a large sheet that is placed on either on a public space to promote something or on a wall as decoration? So in the teaching and the learning process, if we have a very attractive instructional materials, then our learners will be more attractive also to learn. So yes, typically poster include both textual and graphic elements, although a poster may be either wholly graphical or wholly text. So posters are designed to be both eye-catching and informative. And also poster also helps to focus and motivate children to learn. So it's an effective way to catch and hold the attention of young children. So as well as it helps to maintain their interest in a particular area. So they are convenient both for children and parents, teachers, so as they help them to absorb the information much faster. Next, we have a rope and pole display board. So this board consists of two parallel horizons. Horizontal poles tied loosely together with rope. Usually, visual aids such as posters can be pinned to the rope, and that this kind of display board is invaluable, where there are a few solid walls for displaying information. And also it has no solid backing and can be made quickly for teaching, training, and when working with communities as well. So if you're a person who is advocating education in remote area, highlighting the importance of education in an area which needs attention to the children. So for example, you will be teaching the students or the learners of the different sound symbols, okay, and then each sound symbol is placed in the card. So, okay, and then add it to another card and another card and so on and so forth. So, this is just another way of presenting, another way of showing your lesson. So, rope and pull display board. This is creative and simple to do, like, so it can be made quickly for teaching.
So now let's proceed to the guidelines when designing conventional instructional materials. So first we have the unity. Use only one idea for each visual aid and include a headline. So in making your visual aid, make sure that the first page and the second page has a different ideas, and make sure that you are going to include a headline. Next, number 2 is simplicity. Make ideas and relationships simple and easy to recall. Avoid cluttering a visual with too many words, numbers, or graphics. The audience should be able to grasp the concept in 10 to 15 seconds. So the moment the audience see your visual aid, it must be necessary. It is necessary that the student or the audience will know of what you are going to talk about. So next, number 3, we have the legibility. Make letters big and readable for all in the audience. That is one of the most important thing in making your visual aid. It must be visible. Next is consistency. Use the same type, style, and art style. Do not make different styles. Just stay in one style. And then the clarity. Avoid type that is too small to read, or avoid all caps. It must be formal. In making your visual aids, it must be the first letter in the word must be the capital only. Capital letter. And next, the quality. Make it neat, professional, and remember to proofread. Proofread, which means read again and try to correct if there's something wrong in your visual aid. So next, let's proceed to application of instructional materials. So application of instructional materials. To be an effective teacher, must know how to utilize a variety of instructional material at all levels, such as presentation and handouts, to enhance the quality of their lesson. The quality of those materials directly impacts the quality of teaching. Knowing how to find the instructional materials is valuable for a teacher to have. As a future teacher, how to promote meaningful communication and effective learning to encourage participation and collaborative learning. So meaning to say, the teacher must have a goal not only to teach, but a goal to make the student, or to assure that the student will learn something during the discussion, during and after the discussion. So as a future educator, it is really important to promote meaningful communication. Communication is very important, and effective learning to encourage the student, to motivate the student to learn more and to gain knowledge out from your discussion. It is also most importantly to adjust your visual aid to your student. Like for example, if your student is elementary student or grade 1 student, your visual aid must be connected to their generation. That you can make animation, you can make cartoons, you can make Disney movies or Disney princess or any Toy Stories. So instructional materials is very important, because in that way, students will have interesting within themselves to listen to your discussion, because they see something. They see the symbolization in your words. They see symbolization in your discussion. And in that way, the students will have interest in listening to your discussion and learning of what you have discussed.
So these are the group 3 members. We have Nikki Sara D. Arsenal, Curl Cabarce, Jennifer Saturday T. De La Torre, Anna Marie Otto, Mary Grace Tiracho, and lastly, Eliza Ashley Aguilera. So that is all for our report. Thank you.